Okay, so first up is a new one from Posthuman. This is on Hornwax number 9. On the other side is Compassion Crew as well. You'll have to forgive my crisp hands that pawed the record there a little bit. But yeah, nice stuff by the guys. It's one of 400 records. The Posthuman side, a little bit on a deeper acid tip. Builds up nicely, not overly fast either. I've got it pitched up there a little bit actually. On the other side then is I'm assuming this is the Compassion Crew tune. It's a little bit more of a cowbell led, slightly more retro sounding thing. And that's a pretty nice one to have. Just going through some of the other stuff that's here, some of the other records I've got. This is a new one from Shards. Shards number 1, a guy who had a release on Mords not so long ago. Let's go through a few more. This one is an old Alexi Shelby. Well, it's not an old one, it's a reissued one, but some old tracks of his. He's one of those, I don't know, maybe not an unsung hero, but he's a guy that maybe hasn't got his full props over the years, but who puts out, who continues to put out good records and to re-release good tracks as well. This one is on Dystopian, which is Rodhad and a few other people's label. Some good ones on this. I might actually go through it quickly. I kind of remember what ones were my favourites. If I remember, the Don Williams and the Rodhad ones were probably my favourite on this. Let's check what this is. Yeah, I think Dystopian and Rodhad and those guys do what they do well. A lot of it's very functional sounding techno, but for DJing with it's very useful. This one is, I can't actually pronounce the guy's name, Gotzkowsky, his tune, which is fine. Distant Echoes one is quite nice there as well. Onto the flip now, and this is Recondite, which is okay. Not really going to set the world in motion too much, but the Don Williams one here I quite liked actually, I have to say. Yeah, nice buzzy synth, a little bit of a break. Yeah, I think quite effective, that one. And then on the other side, see, the other side I think it was the Rodhad one that I liked the most. It's kind of cool to see more double packs coming out now again. Yeah, I think this is the Rodhad's track as far as I know, and it's called, what's it called, Like Tears in the Rain. Actually sounds a little bit like old Johannes Heil or Thomas Heckman sort of stuff. Actually, if some people know that one-sided Johannes Heil and DJ Hell track, I forget the name of the tune, it's from about 10 or so years ago. It's very like that. But yeah, dare I say, a little bit of a sort of trancey element to this, and to some Rodhad's tracks, which I quite like. So let's see what else we've got here. Oh yeah, DJ Deeon. So you get an idea of that. Going through them, there's an Alex.Do or an Alex.Do. I'm not too sure how to say his name. One by him. There's one by Vril, and then there's one by another guy called Albrecht. So give those a quick flick. Slightly deeper vibes, but still kind of heavy enough, as is that one. Yeah, next up, I'm not going to play every record now. There's obviously well over 100 in the crate, so we'll be here for quite some time trying to do that. So yeah, DJ Deeon, and like a lot of good records that are coming out nowadays,
let's bang the box.
They're not. they're new records, but they're not exactly new records. They're reissues of old tracks. But the great thing about Deeon and a lot of these Chicago guys is they have so much in reserve, so many records that they put out that could have been on dodgy pressings that need repressings. Nobody might even be selling copies anymore. You go on looking for some of these things, they're going for huge money, or there's literally no copies of them. There's certain Dance Mania records that I'd love to get, but I can't get because there's literally no copies of them anymore. So it's good when, and in this case Numbers, when they re-release some of this stuff again. So I'll give these a very quick flick. Yeah, DJ Deeon. Yeah, I think this is the one that I'd be more likely to play. A little bit more of a vocal snip rather than a full a longer vocal loop. That short loop, vocal loop, tracky kind of stuff. Yeah, I really love playing that in sets. Yeah, the best Chicago stuff for me is that simple, cheap synths, short vocal, and just heavy low end. Works all the time. Not so keen on that one. Yeah, the inside cuts, very like old Robert Armani as well, actually. Let's see what we got. Still a lot to get through here. This is one by a guy called Pukemaster Gehm, which is actually a guy called Andreas Gehm. Maybe I'm not pronouncing his name right, but Solar One Music is a great label, one you should check out. This one is by Gaja, and he's appeared on Repitch. He's part of the Repitch crew, which also includes Asion and Decarbone and Shape Noise, and he's one of the more one of the more promising new producers that are making stuff in the mold of Regis and those guys. It sounds very 90s, but with a new production or more modern production style. So yeah, watch out for that one. This is one of a couple that I've got by a guy called Chris Moss Acid, who is, oh yeah, and by the way, with the Deeon record, it comes with this insert as well. So respect to Numbers for putting that together. Right. Yeah, the Chris Moss Acid record. It is an acid record, surprise, but this is the one that I play a lot of. This people might have heard it in maybe the House of God mix that I put up recently from the House of God birthday night. I've been playing it in most sets actually this year. Pretty mentalist stuff. It's kind of like a cross between CFAX Acid Crew and Woody McBride or something. It's pretty hardcore sound. The thing I like about it as well, it sounds very live. You can nearly see the synths and the drum machines and the distortion unit. It's or distortion pedal or whatever he's using. Very overdriven sounds, but still a lot of weight and a lot of clarity over a sound system. Really like that one. And this is on Jerome Hill's label, Don't, which has to be one of my favourite labels for quite some time. Brilliant label. Can't say enough good things about Jerome and what he does with that label, and some of the new producers that he kind of maybe not discovers, but who he brings to a wider audience sometimes. And certainly there have been a few discoveries on his label too. But Chris Moss Acid, I hadn't heard too much of him before that, but doing a bit of my homework after that release on Jerome's label, I found that he'd done a little bit more than I thought. This is a recent one that he put out as well on Shipwreck, which is a really nice label. I think they might be from Holland. They started off quite abstract actually, a lot of their early releases, and sort of have been There's a good mishmash of stuff on that label, but putting out some really good electro recently too. But this is another good Chris Moss Acid release that's worth getting. Now on to one on Mord. This is by a guy called Endlec, another new addition to the Mord stable. That side isn't my favourite side. It's this one actually. Very, very like old Rob Hood actually. That's almost a little bit like newer Rob Hood. But yeah, nice stuff. I could say quite 90s sounding. I sometimes think that's a bad description, but sometimes there's no other description other than to say it's 90s sounding. And 90s always makes it sound like it's retro, or it's not pushing any boundaries and all this kind of stuff. But really, you know, how does it sound in a club? Does it have as great an impact as techno can? And I think 90s, I don't know, I think it should be changed to another term. I don't know what it should be, but proper techno, I suppose, is the most obvious one. But this is one by Cannibal Cooking Club, Paul Birken remix. Cannibal Cooking Club are two German guys, I believe, who've been running this label for quite some time actually. They had records out years ago as well, and have done this label on and off. Not too many of them, but up to number 11 now, but that must be over like a 10 or so year period, I'd say. But yeah, they make some pretty mentalist stuff actually. I might even go through to their tracks and go back to Paul's. But yeah, pretty jacking, noisy kind of stuff from them. Very much from the Neue Heimat or Brighton school of techno. And yeah, on very nice white vinyl. I can't say that I have that in the right sleeve. I don't think I do actually, but anyway, Paul's. I like the other tracks on it, and respect to Cannibal Cooking Club, but Paul's remix is where it's at here. It's one of my favourite tunes of the year so far. No point going through it. You know what it is. You can check it, and better still, buy it. It's a brilliant record. It's definitely one of the better acquisitions of the year for me. This one is by Psychic TV, which is an old reincarnation of Throbbing Grizzle in a roundabout way. And this tune actually is from 1989. And it's got the Fred Gianelli mono mix, which I assume is from back then. I didn't have the original, but there's a Silent Servant remix, and then there's a Silent Servant and John Tishad remix on it too. This one is by Heat, who is Chris Fink, and his label is has been going for a little while now. This is number 4. There was a little bit of a break in between releases, but I have to say Chris has really come into his own as a producer in the last 2 or 3 years, obviously with the Body Jack stuff, but the Heat stuff as well. A lot of people didn't know it was him for a while, but yeah, very impressive actually. There's one particular tune on this as well. I could think we'll probably make a very good set opener over the next while. Just running through a few things, and I'm trying to remember when I got some of these. This one is by Children of Tomorrow, or it's on Children of Tomorrow by someone called Mental Resonance. Now I can't remember if I got that this year or last year. Just going through it quickly. Yeah, that's fine. Good DJ tool, and again, a good DJ tool. But the best tracks on this are the inside ones. Yeah, this one really nice, atmospheric, acidy thing, and that's the one I've been playing a lot in sets. I have to say, really like that. Maybe slightly Sandwell District influenced, and also this one. Slight dubbier feel to that, but yeah, that was a nice one. I quite like a lot of the French stuff, the sort of Jeff Mills influence stuff that's coming out recently. A lot of those guys are doing it really well. This one, again, it isn't in the right sleeve, but this one is by it's by a few people, but DJ Spider is one of them. There's another guy called Dakini 9, and there's another guy called Franklin DaCosta, and then there's Divorce as well, who runs the Fifth Wall label. But my favourite on this is the DJ Spider tune. Might sound slightly crackly actually because I've been playing it a lot, and also the vocal sounds pretty manic too. The thing I like about this vocal, or any vocal that's like this, that sounds like almost like monsters. I don't know, something I relate to a lot. It's something I sometimes use in my own tracks. So hearing something quite mutant or ugly sounding like that is always welcome for me. So but going on to DJ Spider, he's probably one of my favourite producers now. I don't know too much about him other than he's from New York, but really liking his stuff, and there's more of his in this. This is another one on Numbers. I won't play it, but I think my favourite one off it, I don't know which tune it is. It's on this side, as far as I remember, or is it on this side? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Unspecified Enemies, and that's a newish one on Numbers. It was the one before Deion's record, I believe, or it could have been one before that. This is a new one on The Corner, or it's a recent one on The Corner by Phil Moffat. Who just collaborated with somebody interesting, someone like Seth Troxler or something, which was a bit unusual to see. This is one on Nervous New York Records, which everyone probably knows. Even if you don't know the records, you probably know the logo. Yeah, that isn't a track you'd associate necessarily with me or one of my sets. There was a good reason for buying this though. I think it's this one. It's a nice swingy house thing to bring things in another direction. Yeah, I quite like that. I used to have a Nervous New York T-shirt I remember years ago, which I bought in. It was in a shop that was behind Cleary's on O'Connell Street. It was called Snafu. Actually, it was on Marlborough Street. And I remember they sold tapes and T-shirts and stuff like that. So sometimes when you see T-shirts or merchandise like that, I'd be drawn to the visual. I remember getting a T-shirt or a top with that on it, long before I ever heard a track on Nervous New York Records. This one's a new one by David Meiser. Again, it's a pretty upfront, loop-driven kind of record. It's got a couple of remixes on it by label owner Damon Wild and by Echoplex, Polish producer, I believe. I can't actually remember which my favourite is off it, but fair play to David Meiser. Sinewave is obviously a pretty legendary label, and kind of going back to what they did in the past a little bit. I think a lot of labels such as Sinewave went down the minimal route. Granted, they were minimal techno labels to start with, but they went down the slightly more what would you call it? The Richie Houghton minimal route a little bit, like a lot of labels, but I don't think they ever got too far into that, which was good. But going through a few others, and this is a reissue actually by Kelli Hand. She's putting out a lot of her old stuff. She's reissuing records from her label, and there's some great ones to be had. If you don't know the label or the logo, that's it. Oh yeah, and this is on it as well. This is one I actually often get asked about in sets. I would have been playing it off the old original vinyl, but it's kind of like a more acidy version of Energy Flash by Joey Beltram. I think when Energy Flash came out, a lot of people did their own versions of it. Orlando Verne did his own version of it. Frankie Bones did his own version of it. Kelli Hands, Kay Hands did her own version of it too. So out of all of them, that's possibly the best. So I'm going to run through a few things quickly without playing all of them. This one is a new one on Gynoid Audio. Matthias Friedel. I'm always really bad at pronouncing names from Holland, I believe he's from. And then Future 16 do the flip with a Zadig remix on it. Is there a remix? Yeah, there's a Tomohiko Sage remix. Again, my pronunciation could be terrible. On the other side too. Going through a few others. This is one by Luke's Anger on Ugly Funk, which is great. And one thing I have to say about this record is that I remember originally, and it says a lot about digital files versus actually hearing, like, and listening through a laptop versus actually hearing them over speakers. I remember when the guy sent me this first, I was like, oh yeah, I really like it, and this was the one that I liked. It kind of sounds like an old drop bass network track or something, and I thought, yeah, this is really good release, looking forward to it, etc. So good kind of wonky Luke's Anger stuff. But then I played this when I got the vinyl, and I'm thinking, oh shit, this is the one, this is the joint. And that's only something that can happen when you play something really loud sometimes. I think now we're kind of used to playing things through laptops or playing things at kind of, you know, low quality MP3s and stuff, but the guys were kind enough to send me a copy shortly before it came out, and I was really keen to hear it off the vinyl, and it sounded amazing. So yeah, that's something to that's something I really appreciate about records, or just playing something really loud sometimes that you can't get from just previewing stuff on your laptop and whatnot. This is by a new guy called, I don't know if he even is new, his name is DJ BMX, but that's where we're getting, it's on a label, it's, I think the cat number could be something like MIL or something like that. Here it says M2002, but it's called the Conquest of Gravity EP, DJ BMX. And actually I looked it up on Discogs because I was wondering who DJ BMX was, and I noticed Coleman Buckley, who's an Irish DJ and producer, has had a release on that label too, which I was pretty pleased to see. This one is, what is it? Let's see. It's a test pressing of something. It's a test pressing of the next Earwiggle, actually. I'll go through it quickly. This is the first time anyone will have heard it. It's by a new producer called Feich. And it certainly won't be the last appearance of Feich on the label, because he's making some great stuff. Yeah, sorry, I've got everything pitched up here. I might pitch it back down again. Yeah, it's pretty mental, sort of detuned, sort of sounding techno. Yeah, this is one actually I've opened up a few sets with recently and probably will do again. It's got really cool vocal right at the beginning. I don't know where he got it from.
Powerful force of nature.
Yeah, well, that's that one if you ever wondered. But that should be out in May sometime next month. This is another test pressing of something. This is the new Diffuse Reality, which is Ben Gibson. I've done a remix of Ben Gibson on it. Rodrigo Garcia on the other side. And then there's a remix by, I can't fully pronounce the guy's name. Anyway, if I had it in front of me, and apologies to you for not being able to pronounce your name, but I like your track, and yeah, that's a 4-tracker, and that'll be out soon. This is one that is coming out, or is out a while. I think I must have got. It's funny because with a few of these, I think I probably got them right at the turn of the last day of December, going into January. But yeah, so DJ Hyperactive. The one I'm going for off it is this Marcus Sukkot remix. Yeah, I like it. The thing I like about Marcus Sukkot is on first listen sometimes it sounds like pretty standard Berghain stuff, but he's got that extra groove in it, and he usually puts a clap in nice places at nice parts of the track just to give it that little pick me up. And out of a lot of the people that make quite functional techno, Marcus Sukkot's definitely one of my favourites. But yeah, it's his remix there. To be honest, let's hear 25 Hours by. Yeah, it's fine. To be honest, it's nowhere near any of the best hyperactive stuff in my opinion. But the Rays remix, yeah, nice stuff. Keeps the kind of Chicago Jack there, and like I said, the Marcus Sukkot one's really good as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is a new one from Martin Hare. Thanks, Martin, for sending this as well. Martin's stuff is coming on it. amazingly, actually, he's come back with a bang. He was putting stuff out years ago on this label, Emetic, and quite a few other labels of the time. The first thing I heard by him was on... Who was it? I was on Potential on Ben Long's label. Actually, it was a one-sided thing called Bitchin'. It was a funny track actually, because it almost sounded a little bit like a sorry, Martin, but it kind of sounded a little bit like a hard house track because of the vocal that was used in it. But it was a really, really effective track. And whether it sounded a little bit like hard house or not, I played it. It was a great track actually. A lot of people played it at the time. I think some people might have just thought, yeah, the vocal sample sounds a little bit hard housey. It was something like, check this out, or something like that. But not the best impression there possibly. But anyway, that was just the first thing I heard by him. And then for quite a few years, or for maybe 3 or 4 years, he put out a lot of stuff, then disappeared, but has come back recently. And yeah, pretty nice, high pitched, swingy sort of tune. Actually, it's only when you play that I found that certain tracks, it's when you play them out, you kind of hear the quality of the production. And with Martin's stuff, it's most certainly there. This is a new one, or a newish one on Diagonal, which is Powell's label. You know what, I got this originally and I thought, yeah, this is great, and the more I listened to it, I just kind of thought,
cunty fingers and some
like that vocal
fresh from the latest.
I don't know,
best.
just not feeling it at all, and I kind of thought, oh fuck. But this side has it. Kind of reminds me of an old Mosquito release or something. Real buzzy synth.
Cages built of convention.
There's a couple of vocals in there as well. It's a little bit odd. It's a little bit of a curveball, and I quite like that one actually. Wasn't feeling the other side so much, but it doesn't matter. I think if a record has one track on it that you'll play, you should get it. That's a new Earwiggle compilation that I just threw in there. And if you didn't already know, it has A&D, Martin Hare, who we were just talking about, Johan Plattenboner M, Papers, Defect, Bintus, Neil Landstrom and Ordinus as well. Yeah, very happy with how that all turned out, and big shout to Johnny Costello for doing the artwork there. Yeah, next one is one on Don't, on Jerome's label again, and he was kind enough to send me one of these. It's by Tobias Schmidt. I'll just make sure that is Don't 27. Yes, it is. Of course, Tobias Schmidt is a long-time collaborator with Neil Landstrom, and you can hear it in the sound a little bit. They've always had a similar sound, but Tobias still does very individual stuff, of course, and that's a pretty nice release, I have to say. Keep an eye out for that. Maybe I already played this one. Yeah, this is year 11. Need to find a better system for doing this, perhaps. I played that one too. I played the Emetic one. Oh yeah, this is one on Comish. I'll go through a few of them quickly now without playing them. Maybe I'll play something in the background. Yeah, and why not play a Headfront Panel record? This was the best techno project of last year, and it later turned out to be John Heckel who did all of the records. He did 8 records in a year. In fact, I think the 9th one was already done by the year's end, but it might have just come out at the beginning of January. But yeah, Comish 20 as well. That's Bleaching Agent. I think I have a finished copy of it here somewhere. Great Sean O'Sullivan remix on that. Planetary Assault Systems, the new Mode Evolver. Nice bleepy sounding Planetary Assault System gear, as you would expect. This one by Mark Broom on Non-Series. The Inside, I think the B2's one I've been playing off that a bit. Here's another DJ Spider release. This one is with Franklin DaCosta. As I said earlier, DJ Spider, anything he does, I'm into it. I think he puts a great slant on techno, of what's left to be put on it in a dance floor context. It seems like it can be very, very hard to do something that sounds new and that stands out against other stuff that doesn't reference an old producer or an old style. But I think DJ Spider still manages to do it sometimes. He has some interesting ideas and some good techniques. This is a new one on Marcel Heath's label, Finitudes, and it's by him and D-Funk. This one then is one on Tripio's label, and it came with a bunch of remixes. This is the first one, James Ruskin, Exium and Mike Parker, and actually the Mike Parker tune on that has a little bit more arrangement in it than some of his others. Sometimes with Mike Parker he can kind of do a track that's literally just a loop. It sounds sonically brilliant, it's amazing, it'll make on a really big system or on a really good sound system, it sounds all unreal, but there's not always a lot to the tracks. But in that there's actually a little bit more arrangements, which is interesting. This is a new one by Matt TDK, who I think you're going to be hearing a good bit from over the next year. He has a track on the next Dark Floor release as well, which should be out soon. This one I didn't have. I was ashamed to say I didn't have, and Michael from Ancient Methods kindly gave me a copy at the Individual Collective and DSNT release. No, it wasn't a release party. The party in London recently in February, and I've been playing that ever since. I should have really had it, but I didn't, and it's not in its right cover now, and it doesn't have the sticker with it that it should have. But that's just because I've been playing it a lot. The DJ Bone release on Don't Be Afraid. DJ Bone, he's done some great records over the past. A little bit like Jerome Hill. He's someone whose DJing probably overshadows his productions, but yeah, that's a strong one by him. And I think anything DJ Bone related is always worth listening to, and he certainly doesn't repeat himself all the time either. I think a lot of work and a lot of talk goes into his tracks. This is a new one by Donor and Truss, which is on MREC. Also, it does sound a little bit like both of them, I suppose, which it should do. But I remember listening to it first and thinking, trying to place who it sounded more like, because sometimes it is like that when it's a collaboration. You're kind of trying to place the sound, or I think with Donor and Trust they swap files over the internet, because they obviously live in England and America respectively. So I'm not too sure, but yeah, anyway, who cares who it sounds more like? I think it sounds like both of them, actually. So this is a nice one. It's on MREC, and in fairness to MREC Limited, that one's a bit more brutal. Yeah, I think that's the one I'll be playing more. It's funny because when I buy records sometimes it takes me a little while to work some of them into my sets, because sometimes I'm actually buying a lot of stuff, and sometimes more than I can play straight away. And then sometimes I'm getting records right before I'm going to DJ, and I don't really believe in just, unless it's something that for some reason you just take with you straight away and play. I don't believe in just taking every single record that you've bought and playing it straight away on that night. I think a lot of times people do that, and they don't really know the track yet, or they're playing something and they're testing it out. You know, it's like people saying they road test tracks out, and I kind of think road testing stuff out's almost a little bit disrespectful to your audience sometimes. It's like people road testing their latest track, and they're road testing 5 or 6 tracks that aren't even really ready or even good enough to play out yet. But it's sometimes I feel that with new records I've bought as well. I want to kind of get to them in my own time. I listen to the clips, or I listen to them in the record shop. Actually, sometimes when I buy in the record shop, I'm more sure about them because I've given them a proper flick, and then they probably just go straight into my bag that weekend. But sometimes when I buy online, I buy them, I listen to the clips, and then it takes me a little longer to actually get them into my sets. Anyway, this is a new one on Umvelt's label, New Flesh, an electro thing, as you can hear. Yeah, I think anything that Umvelt does, I'm always interested in it. He's a bit of a soldier of the French techno and electro and rave scene. But yeah, really solid electro record there. This one is by Dungeon Acid. Actually, I'm only going to flick through this because, to be honest, it's a good record. Definitely a good record, but okay, remember what that sounded like. It's a variation, it's fine, but like, you know. Anyway, really good record. I'll still play it, but wouldn't have minded a little bit more variety, rather than just a different version of the same track on the other side. But again, your man Dungeon Acid is worth checking, and I did buy that for a reason, because it's definitely very playable. This one is by DJ Stingray. And the good thing about Stingray is you can't always work out what speed you're meant to play his tracks at. This is a new one on Bleep 43 Recordings. It's their second release. The interesting thing actually about Stingray, I remember reading an interview with him not so long back where all of his stuff is now done on a computer. Unless he's changed in the meantime, I don't know. Doubtful. He probably, if he's moved to a laptop, and he seemed quite happy on it according to the interview, he's probably still on it. But yeah, both of these sides can be played at 45. Now that sounds a little bit more natural there, maybe to what we're kind of used to, but sounds like a more standard tempo. But yeah, certainly I think the faster side is where it's at. Going through a few more, and as this is the first time we've done this, I'm still finding my way with what the best way is to actually present this and the best technique of playing and talking about the records. But going through a couple more here. Here's the next one on Mistress Recordings, and it's got a few people on it. New Type, Mike Gervais, Opinion, and A&S, and that's the one by Jerome Search and Dimitri Angelis. That's the one. That's my favourite off it. It's a pretty pounding Robert Hood styled tune. This one's by Danny Days, and it's also got Drug Culture on it as well. It's on Omnidisc. In fact, there's an Omnidisc 2 out since this one, but this one's really good too. This one is on Appian Sounds, which is an Irish label based in London or something like that, and it's from the guys that used to do FEF. Again, I mostly got this because of the DJ Spider track on it, but Nathan H, Leonid and Joey Anderson are on that as well. This one is on The Corner, which is Anthony Parasol's label. And fair play to Marcel Dettmann, because I think when a lot of people become quite big as DJs, sometimes their productions suffer, but certainly not here, because I think the Dettmann tune on this is probably the pick of the three tracks. The Silent Servant and the Parasol ones are good, but certainly the Marcel Dettmann one there is one of the best things I've heard him do in the last few years, and definitely worth picking that one up. Minimum Syndicate, big favourites of mine really. I have all of these releases, and even when they haven't had something out, I'm usually emailing them, pestering them to put something else out. It's two guys, was three, but it's two now. Two guys from Paris who make the ravey acid stuff, and are one of the best exponents of that. This is a new one by UVB. Newish one, who you obviously know or should know from the Mord label and some of the stuff he's put out on that. Again, it's going back to that term 90s sound in techno, but done exceptionally well. This one could possibly be my favourite of the bunch, and I'll hold on to this for a few minutes. This is a new one by Voitax, and actually I put it next to a Marcus Sukkot release because I noticed the use of a similar sample on these actually. And it's funny when you talk about sampling now. A lot of people say, "Oh, oh, that's a sample from that. Oh, how could you sample this?" As far as I'm concerned, there should be more sampling. There should be a lot more sampling. Like you can play old rave tracks with some wacky sample in it that could have come off a children's television program, and people go absolutely nuts. You know what I mean? They're going to go a lot more nuts than listening to the latest stroboscopic artifacts, for instance. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes techno can be really too serious, and dance music in general can be too serious for its own good. And maybe having more sampling could be good again. It's obviously hard to clear certain things, and maybe back in the day there was the industry wasn't prepared for some of it, and a lot more got through the net. But really, I think sampling should be welcomed. And on this, is it on this one? Okay, there we go. I've been reliably informed by another Tim here that this is Dr. Timothy Leary. And the other Tim here, Mr. Tim Hannigan, actually sampled this himself years ago, and may possibly have been the first one to have sampled this vocal passage. In fact, he definitely was. But thanks to him, he's identified who that person is, and it's Dr. Timothy Leary. And now we'll play, if you can remember that sample, we'll play the other one, and that's a really nice record actually. It's a sort of a droney techno thing, which, to be honest, when I hear drone and techno, I kind of go, ugh. But that one's done really well, and it's a really nice label. It's not to say that drones are bad, but when it becomes a little bit of a thing and a sort of a subgenre, I think you're often doomed, and that's kind of what's happened with a lot of drone techno. But that's a really nice one. They don't put out too many releases actually. Voitax, and we'll slow it down a little bit. And there you can hear the sample of Dr. Timothy Leary. And this one is by Marcus Suckut, which is on Steve O'Sullivan's label. And there's another bird in there actually as well. I don't know who she is. Maybe Dr. Timothy Leary's assistant. So that's and a great one by Marcus Suckut. I remember getting that right at the beginning of the year, just as it came out. In fact, it had gone off Juno really quickly. And sometimes when it's a record like that, I'm not going to waste any time, and I got it off someone on Discogs. Which I was quite happy about, from Jaffe, I think, on Discogs, who's a great seller there. This is a new one by a guy called Christopher Joseph, and he's a really nice guy, because he sent me this, and he runs, I assume it's him that runs Flex Seal. I think he does. He also works in the Record Loft shop in Berlin. Nice stuff from him. I think this is the one I'm going for actually. Actually, do you know who it sounds like? It sounds a little bit like old Basic Implants. Then if you want to look on Discogs now, who Basic Implants are, I think it was Alex.Do and somebody else. But they had quite a few releases out. And it's kind of hard for some techno not to sound like other techno. And listening to that now, it sounds a little bit like old Basic Implants, and it's no bad thing. A little bit more of an acid line in there maybe than Basic Implant. But overall, a really nice EP. This is one by Joe Shuro, and actually I think this came out last year, but again, another very nice person who sent me a copy, and this one's called Black Acid. It's got a Paul Mac remix, a Myler remix, and a Larix remix on it as well. That's really worth checking out. Joe Shuro is the guy's name, and he's making some really good stuff actually. The next one there is another Flex Seal record, which is the one before this. It's a one-sided one that has 2 tracks on that side. But yeah, like I said, I think it's all about this one for me anyway on that record. But yeah, very, very solid offering from Christopher Joseph. Definitely worth getting that one. This is the finished copy of the Bleaching Agent on Comish. Again, it's another one of those, listen to the files and it sounds, oh yeah, that's good, yeah, that's grand. Play it off the record and it sounds killer. And it's I'm not going to say it's all about the Sean O'Sullivan remix on this, because the Bleaching Agent tracks are great, but I think it's a real testament to a track that's so good that you actually ignore the originals when the originals are that good too. So the Sean O'Sullivan one is the one I'm playing off that. Possibly the best Comish in quite some time, actually. But here, this is amazing too. I love Bleaching Agent stuff. He's one of my favourite producers. He's one of those guys that I hope eventually won't just be called an underrated producer, because I think he's rated by nearly any techno DJ that knows what's up, and he obviously can do more than just techno as well. If you check out some of his other aliases, actually I suppose most of it is techno really, but he definitely puts a slant on it. This is one that Miss Sunshine did actually, which is really nice. Her original and the Flug remix, I think, are the ones I was going for off that. And thanks Sunshine for that. Thanks to you. This one is by VSK. I think it could have come out near the end of last year. This guy's really promising actually. There's a tune of his, I forget what the label was on, Janessa or something like that. Some of you might know from the Boiler Room set I did last year, towards the end of last year. He did a brilliant track actually on that record, which I played that night. But VSK, he's an Italian producer who I think is only going to go from strength to strength, and people are going to get to know a lot more over the next while. But yeah, we played a gig in Lecce. I used to call it Lecce, but I think it's Lecce is how you're meant to say it. But we played a gig towards the end of last year, the end of December, and he kindly gave me that record. I would have bought it anyway. It's really good. But this is one that I picked up in Serendipity record shop in Milan, and it's by some producer called Black Seed. Yeah, I think he has a nice sound actually. It's funny because I went into the shop and I had a lot of stuff that I kind of might have already had, or that was that I probably just already had. But I asked the guy in the shop what he had that was by someone Italian that I mightn't get or I mightn't see so handily elsewhere, and he picked these ones out and I really like them actually. And besides being good records, they'll also remind me of a very nice trip to Milan that time. But yeah, the name of the label is Details, and he has a pretty good sound. So let's see. So that's pretty industrial sound stuff. Controls again. I can't play every record because we'll probably be here all day. But if you know Controls, you'll know that he knows what he's doing. This must be his 5th or 6th release for Token now, and he's got a very distinctive sound. Actually, he's someone we can really say that about. He's got a sound that other people don't, and that's a great thing. Sorry, that's just a random white label of something I played already. This one is by Sozak. Some of you might know this one. Well, you might know all the tunes, but to me it's all about that one. It's very much a DJ tool. There's not much going on other than the kick drum distortion and a big hat, and a little bit of swooshing at the right times. But it's a highly effective tune. I've been playing that nearly every set actually. We'll get the swoosh in, will we? Yeah, a bit of that. Actually, I'm not getting the right place. Yeah, okay, so you know what I mean there. This one is from Gesloten Circle. There's no point really playing it, but it's Murder Capital 9. Occasionally, there could be a record that I feel I already have in my collection, but I see it in a shop and I go, where is that record? I haven't seen it in 6 months. Better get another copy, and that's what I did with that one. Here's a new one on Mindcut, Mindcut number 5. It's actually not that new now. It's out a little while, well, a couple of months, but it's got TSR, who are releasing Paul Birken's new album, Lag and Forest People, Jerome Hill and Keepsakes, and Mindcut just keeps getting better and better. Really good label. Watch out for the Anthem release on that as well, which I still have to track down. This is one I was looking for ages and ages. I don't know how I missed it. It's not that I didn't miss it, I just didn't buy it first time around. But it's the Triple M remix on this is brilliant. A little bit different to some of the other stuff that I played. This one is Avian Crossing Tree. I actually don't know too much about this record other than it's a slightly heavy bleepy techno thing. This is a new one on Super Rhythm Trax, which is Jerome Hill's label, and a little bit of a coup here actually in that he's managed to license an old Marshall Jefferson Hercules track, as well as an old Adonis and Sydney Winters one here, and he's done an edit and a remix of each. That's actually another really great label, Super Rhythm Trax. Very much in the retro house, acid house style of things, but usually with a little slant on it. This one is by DJ House as well, who's the unknown to the unknown label boss, who's putting out some really good stuff. Actually, might play that a little bit later as well. This one is a new one on L.I.E.S, Person of Interest. With L.I.E.S, there's maybe, I don't check every single thing they put out, and I'm certainly not a fanatic like a lot of people are, but the good ones are really, really good, and that's one of my favourite L.I.E.S records of recent times. Again, it has a little bit of a retro or sort of proper techno feel. There's the choice of sounds, sound like proper old school techno, but there's still a nice kind of slant in the production style to make it sound like something modern and something now, and something like L.I.E.S actually. They've really sort of cornered a sound or an area of techno that other people haven't, and fair play to them. This is a new one by DJ Deep and Roman Ponset, I think that's how I say it, on Trezor. Pretty functional DJ tracks, definitely going to be quite useful, that one. This one is by Alex Colton, and there's actually a killer function and Inland remix, which dare I say sounds very like Regis on that, and that's a really good one. Both originals really good, and then the function Inland remix is a total killer as well. This is one people have asked me about. It's there's no real info on the record as to who Secret Rave is. I believe I know who it is. I think it's an Italian label, but there's a Rivet remix on this as well. But a lot of people have asked me what the A1 is on this, because I played it a lot in sets, and check out Secret Rave 01 and you'll know what I'm talking about. This one is by Jerome Search then. It's Search Archives 2, and it's basically going through some of his old tracks and putting them onto new 4 trackers. So they're like compilations, picking out some of his favourite tracks of old, I assume. Search Records, of course, was his label, which was in full flight in the late 90s. This is 10 years of Perc. Again, I don't know, I banged this in there. I can't remember if I got this year or right at the end of last year. But Forest Strategy Group, Happa, Martin Hare, Mick Finesse and Pinion. Strong record there. I think the Happa one is the one I'm leaning towards the most, but I still need to give that more listens. Like a lot of things, can take me a little while to get around to playing some records, and then I get a lot of plays out of them. This one is by Stranger, it's on a label called Self Reflects. This is number 2. I believe number 3 is out already, but it's a Dutch label with a bit of what would you say? I don't know how to say it. Let's just put it on. That might be the easiest. The first one was a lot ravier. This though is a little bit, I think. Certainly slightly old school sounding. Well, early 2000s sounding actually. that isn't the one I played. That's not bad. To be honest, I think number 1's a little bit better, but this tune I've been playing a bit. There's a thing with a vocal on it, actually, the inside cut on this. Which is quite nice. Like an old alternate or something. See. Yeah, that could be the pick off that, actually. I have to say, at the beginning, when I heard that record first, I was in two minds about the vocal, but yeah, beginning to like it more, actually. This is a new one by Kiro and Kyle Hall, and in the meantime, I'll put something else on in the background. This is one on One Electronica, actually, which, as far as I remember, oh no, actually, I'm thinking of another label. I was going to say something else there. Yeah, I think this is the Phantom Planet Outlaws. I think I've said that the right way around. The Planet Phantom Outlaws, or is it the Phantom Planet Outlaws? I can't remember. Which is John Heckle, Binny, and Mark Forshaw. That's their tune on it. That's their remix on it, at least. And sorry, I should really get the name of the original artist, shouldn't I? It says Saman, and it's called Arpitures of Adelaide EP. So I don't know if that means he's from Adelaide or if he just has admiration for Adelaide, the Arpitures of Adelaide, but that's the name of that record. Now moving through some of these quickly, there's Kiro and Kyle Hall on Detroit Underground, which is a quality label. You can't have any of those in your collection and not feel you've got something good that you're hanging on to. Everything that's come out in Detroit Underground has been really good. This is a double pack of kind of acid jams by Centipede. Or Centipede 1, or maybe, actually I don't know the full info on all of this. Maybe in the mould of old Mike Dread or something like that. But it's a double pack, which I've yet to play, but it's certainly something that I'm glad to have in my arsenal, if you want to say that. This is a new one by Dax J on Monum Black. I have to say, number 3 by him I think is the best on the label so far, but this new one is pretty good too. The Emmanuel one before that as well was really good. New one by Rico, La Metamorphosis Part 1, and it's on Mental Disorder. He's changed the sound a little bit. I don't know if completely for the better, because I used to like some of the rougher stuff he made, but some of the deeper atmospheric stuff he's doing is really good as well, and that's not bad either. This one is Hornsey Hardcore, aka Jerome Hill. Originally when he set up this label, it was kind of it was being marketed as a white label, a long lost white label from the early 90s, but I think people sussed and knew it was him after number 1, so now he's putting his name to it, and yeah, good new old rave tracks, yeah, that's what I meant to say, by him. This is a new one by Kilowatt. It's a double pack, and just to demonstrate the beauty of the vinyl, there, nice orange vinyl going on by Kilowatt. Pretty bass heavy, industrial, steppy, techno. Good stuff there. It's a new one by Steve Bicknell. Again, if this record came out 10 years ago, it could sound like it came out then. He's not a producer who has changed the sound a whole lot, but his records are still really solid, and it's nice to see Cosmic putting stuff out again. This is the previous Emetic by, we'll get to another one now, by Martin Hare. Let's see what we got here. This is one by Matrix Man, actually. I forget what the first release was that I heard by Matrix Man. It took me a couple of releases till I started vibing off his stuff, but and it's one thing I suppose about DJing sometimes is to try and keep an open mind to producers. Sometimes people don't hit you on first listen, and then you just hear something else really brilliant by them. But Let me see. Yeah, I think it's that acid cut that I was liking off it. Moving on a little bit, Dave Tarita on Naxstrom Shell Platin, which is a really nice combo there. It's got a Duelist remix on it as well. Dave Tarita is someone that's coming back with a bang. I think he's got one or two pseudonyms knocking around as well. So yeah, an old favourite of mine. This one is NX1. It's by NX1. It's number 7 on their label. It's not as good as some of the others in my opinion, but I still bought it because I still like it and I'll still play it. But I forget what my favourite was. Sometimes when you've got a favourite on a label and something doesn't maybe match up to it in a way, it's nothing bad against the new record. The new record's still good, but there is another on that label that I think is my very favourite. This is a new one by Boner M actually, which I'll play now. Let's just go through the Matrix Man one again. A little bit of it. Almost Derek May-esque there. Then a little bit of a curveball. Slightly more camera vibed inside cut there, which is always nice. Yeah, going on to this one by Boner M. Again, I can't remember if it came out at the end of last year, if it came at the beginning of this year, but yeah, I love Boner M stuff. It's ultra distorted, but he always keeps a really nice swing to what he does. He's a guy that I think knows how to use his compressor and knows how to use his distortion in a really good way. And he really mashes loops and samples into his tracks really well, and they're just really nice, overdriven, and really pump on a dance floor. Yeah, I think that's the one I'm going for actually there. This is a new one by 2AM FM, and it's on Nation, which is Trax's label, which is quite nice, which is a kind of acidy thing. I think 2AM FM were on Spectral Sound and a couple of labels like that before. This one is by Fidel on his own label. This one is by Slam, and it's got a Planetary Assault Systems remix on it. Edit Select, Flug, and Slam 101. I think the one I'm going for on that is the Planetary Assault Systems one. Here's a reissue of an old Armando track, and actually it reminds me that DJ BMX one that I played earlier is definitely has shades of Armando on it, but Armando sadly passed away quite a few years ago, but some of his stuff still gets reissued, and look out for the stuff of his on DJax as well. This one is more from Minimum Syndicate. It's got Umwelt, BTMA, who I don't know, and Roger Van Lunteren. And that, what label's that on? It's on Polybias Tracks. Then Daniel Avery, it's got Conforce, Powell, but the one I'm really digging off, that's the Phase remix. Here's one by Automatic Tasty on Lunar Disco. It's one of 100 copies, so if you don't have a copy of that, try to track it down before it ends up going for lots of money on Discogs. This one is by Thomas Heckman. I think it's actually out a little while. Well, I think I have a couple of these on their original records, but when it's old stuff getting reissued, you know, might be one or two that you have, and then you kind of go, oh well, I don't have that one, or I don't have that one. So I think that's what happened with that, so hence why I bought it, the reissue. This is one on Bomb Trap, which Joe Farr has a track on, which a new act called Sync have a tune on. Tube Jerk, Tim Wright has one on it, and I have a track on it as well. Yeah, very happy to be on that. Bomb Trap is a label I collected quite a few of their releases on, and they've kind of returned over the last year or two, so nice to be on that one. Let me see, where are we? We're nearing the ends now. Here's one on Orezone. Again, something some people have asked me about recently. It's not that one. It's the... let's see. Ah yeah, here we go. Okay, you get the vibe there. It sounds like something from the early 90s, but made in 2014. Orzone is a Dutch label. I believe it may be more than one producer who does those releases, but not 100%. These are a few that came out towards the end of last year, but then one came out in the new year, and they were the last 3 releases on Ben Simms's label, Theory. There's remixes by Marcel, Dettmann, Planetary Assault Systems, Surgeon, and then a bunch by Ben Sims. And I have to say, I'm probably going for the Ben Sims originals more so than the remixes on those, but all solid stuff. And well done to Ben for doing 50 odd releases on that label. It's quite an achievement. So let's see, we have anything left? No, we have a couple more left. This DJ House thing, which is the penultimate thing I'm going to play, which is a nice swingy sort of thing. I really like what he does, actually. Yeah, I never did much homework on DJ House. He's like someone that's kind of come out of nowhere in the last few years, but he appears to have been someone that's been around for a while. But yeah, kind of reminds me a little bit of old Steve Poindexter a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking what he's doing. Sorry, I'm kind of flicking there the way I normally would with a record. But yeah, loving that. I like that there's music or techno music out there that sounds like it's for a party, that isn't just monotone and, dare I say, a little bit too blokey. It's nice to have stuff that's just party music. And this is certainly one as well, by Jerome Hill. I'll get to the intro actually of his one. Yeah. Yeah, probably my favourite record of the first part of this year. I Love Acid number 4. And the use of a sample as well, which is so useful, and yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.